भारत के कड़े रुख को देखते हुए कनाडा की तरफ से आया है?
Canada पे और कोई सवाल? Anybody else has any question on Canada? Because that's the third round. No other question on Canada? That's the last one. You have a Canada question? Please, I'll take you first. Yeah.
Sandhya, ET. Has Canada shared any information with India on with respect to the investigation on the Nijjar matter in last 1 week? Thanks.
In the last one, I love the specificity. Okay, non-Canada. Okay, I don't want any further on. Okay, why don't we start with Sandhya, your query was on has anything been shared in the recent one? Look, I would refer you to what External Affairs Minister has been saying. He said this in a couple of places during his recent visit. He said, if anything specific or relevant information is shared, we are open to looking at it. On the issue of John, your question, as well as I think Vinita's question on talks, basically on Canada. Look, you'd recall last week we had a substantial, quite a lengthy conversation on Canada. Insofar as discussions on parity, as we mentioned earlier, given the much higher diplomatic presence of Canadian diplomats or diplomatic presence here in Canada and their continuing interference in our internal affairs, we have sought parity in our respective diplomatic presence. Discussions are ongoing on the modalities of achieving this. Specific question by you, John, regarding dates, etc. Look, I would not like to get into the details of diplomatic conversations. As we mentioned, I think last week, given that Canadian diplomatic presence is very much higher, we would assume that there would be a reduction. Look, on the issue you mentioned on specifically on visas, right? Now, yes, we had, I think, initially talked about expedited visas for those who are required, but let me also clarify in the context of the parity, it's up to the Canadian side who they choose to staff their High Commission with. So I would refer you to details of, for them, for any details in this regard. Our concerns are related to ensuring parity in diplomatic presence. And again, as I said, why? And I think, that's been a focus very clearly. On the issue of Prime Minister of Canada, Megha, you had mentioned about visa processing, they should stay. Again, as I said, we are looking at parity. We are looking at the fact that there have been interference and there has been a much higher number of Canadian diplomats here. And hence, the discussions on achieving parity are ongoing. And rest of it, I can't comment on it yet. Obviously, if the parity is achieved, given that Canada has a much larger number of people there, would likely be a reduction in the numbers.